I'm Jillian Vogel from OpenCraft, and I'm going to talk today about libraries v2 and how to make reusable content for the platform.
I'd like to introduce Jillian Vogel. She has been at OpenCraft for 10 years now. She's a core contributor. She has made so many contributions to the platform over the years. And while this is her last conference as an OpenCraft employee, she is going to a new company called Yuka and leading their Open edX migration effort. We're very happy that she can stay in the community. Her presentation is on libraries v2, reusable content for authors.
Hello, everybody. I've already been introduced, but I'm just going to walk through today some of the major features that we've added as a part of the Modular Learning Initiative. This is an ongoing project. So one of the things that I'm hoping to get out of today is to find out what you're using and what you need from this as well. So it is going to be a lot of demoing. So I'm kind of wanting to get an idea, like how many people here are developers? Yeah, cool. Content authors? People with like active, yes. You're actually my primary focus today. The developers, I'm happy to have you guys here, but yeah, this is mostly for the pedagogy people. Site operators, anybody who like configures and yep. And anybody else that I've missed that like you would call yourself something else, I guess. Yes, UX, of course. Yeah, cool. You run things. Good. So yeah, administrate. So making decisions for your organization. Lovely. Great to have you all, and the diversity of roles is helpful too. So the Modular Learning Project is a multi-year Axim funded contribution initiative. OpenCraft and Axim have been doing most of the development, and like the UX and design work has been done by Schema. And the goal of this project is to make libraries your centralized hub for creating, managing, and reusing your content. So people that have run courses over multiple runs and multiple years, you probably found that maintaining the different versions of the content that you use is difficult, and keeping those synchronized between all the versions. Like every year you iterate, every year you make it a little bit better. But being able to actually have like a master source of what your best versions of your content are, so that you can then reuse them, mix them in different contexts and in different ways, without having to literally maintain copies. That's the major goal. And so I'm going to showcase 3 major features that are a part of the modular learning. So copy paste, the libraries v2, and content tagging and collections. And as a part of that, there's some sub-features in there. There's Xbox v2, which I don't know if anybody's actually given any specific talks about that this year, but it's a big exciting thing for us. And containers, which is also a work in progress for this. So copy paste was the first thing that we did, and I think it is the single most useful thing that's been added to Open edX for a long time. Literally being able to visit a place in your course, copy it, and then put it someplace else. Seems very simple. Underneath, it was a bit complex. Yeah, and I'm seeing some shaking heads, so I'm interested to know like if you've got issues and things with that. If you want to, and feel free to like raise your hand at any point if you've got anything that you'd like to comment or say. We also call this content staging. If I slip into that, I apologize. I try to use the actual terminology. And so I'm just going to run through some demos. This is all Teak. So everything that's here, once everybody's platforms are upgraded to Teak, you'll have all of this. So if, for instance, you wanted to take your course content, existing content, and migrate it into a new content library, I would recommend you open your content into new tab, create a new library, which is a pretty simple form. And then in your course tab, just work through your content and copy the blocks, and then go to your course tab. So so copy, I should point out this, so we've got copy to clipboard there for each of your units. And then you can paste those units directly into your library. And when you do paste them, what you see is all of the components, all of the unit itself, and then all the text, all the problems, all the everything gets pasted in. That all kind of happens in the background, so it can take a little bit of time if it's a big unit, but they will all get there, and they'll be indexed and visible in your library there. And it all should automatically get refreshed. You don't have to do a reindex step in libraries. You can also do this from the unit page, or you can do it for individual blocks. If you don't want to deal with the unit structure, you can just use those individual blocks. It also works for any content that you have that has attached files. If there's images, PDFs, any kind of attached documents, those are also supported in the new content libraries. And it works for drag and drop and surveys and polls and Oratu and all those things. And so you can trust that the content and the settings and things that you've put into those Xbox will get copied into the library. There's another nice thing, the what's in my clipboard. If you've copied something to your clipboard and you want to know what it is before you paste, there's a nice little hint thing that shows you that. And of course, there's some caveats, because so it looks and smells like a clipboard, like your computer clipboards you used to be able to use between multiple applications, but behind the scenes it's not. So it's basically taking an action, storing it in the database, and then when you paste into your course, it pulls that up from the database and pastes it in. And so that means if you're working between instances of OpenEdX, like you're on edX.org and your institution's instance, you can't copy paste between those, which is kind of unfortunate, but maybe someday we'll have that. Nested block types aren't supported. So like conditionals, problem builder, if anybody uses problem builder anymore, and like step builder and some of the older, more complex Xblocks like that, unfortunately are not supported yet. And also when this is just basic. So when you're copying content from course to course, there's no links made between those two blocks. Like it's literally a full copy and paste, and then those two blocks operate independently. You make changes over here, or over here. They won't interfere with each other, but you also can't sync between them. But what libraries allows is the ability to sync between those. And so libraries v2, yes.
Is that true for the assets associated with it as well? If you copy something that has an image in it and then paste it, will you get two copies of the image in your work?
Correct. So yeah, the question was, is that true for the assets? If you're copying and pasting units into your course, do the assets themselves get copied? And yes, they do. And so those individual assets, if basically so that if you make a change to that asset, then it's not going to suddenly change in two places and behave unexpectedly. It is a full copy. And so that's a nice thing, but if you're trying to maintain a best use copy of your content, libraries is the place to store those. So yes.
So where do you update if you want to do an update in your unit that you have in your library?
Yeah, so I will show that in our next step. That's cool. I'm glad that the presentation is meeting what you need. So yeah, libraries v2. Longtime users of the platform may remember libraries v1. And there was a lot of ambitions and a lot of problems with those, which we've tried to address with libraries v2. Libraries v2, you can now hold content of any type, and up to, I think it's like 100,000 components in a library. So hopefully size limits shouldn't be too bad. We mainly put a size limit just to sort of keep the search from getting too huge and keep the processes from slowing down too much. But even that limit can be adjusted if we find that that's something that we need and can support. So yeah, instead of having to create a separate library for each different type of thing, you can create a library to store all your content, or at least groups of content that you want to keep together. Yes, and so in the libraries, there's some really nice, because everything is search index, there's some really nice filtering and search features that we have. So all of the types of content you can filter based on those types or on specific problem types. So if you're looking for a particular piece of content, there's lots of tools for finding those. Or you can use the Components tab if you don't want to see your structural stuff, you just want to see your components, you can do that. There's also published status. So in libraries, we maintain the concept of draft and published. It actually is a little bit more complicated than that in that we're storing versions every time you save, every time you make a change. But for simplicity's sake right now, we're only exposing the most recent draft and your published version. At some point we may be able to add in features to be able to move between those versions, like if you want to revert changes or pull in changes from different versions. But so we have 3 states. There's you've never published. There's things that have been modified since the last time you published, and then the published things. And so if you want to see what the published versions look like. And publishing is important because we only use published libraries content in courses. And so that lets you work on things in your library, in your master copy, and then decide what you want to publish and then sync to your courses. And of course, like every good search tool, you can also sort and search by keyword. And the keyword search is actually pretty good. It digs into the content of the X block as well. So if you're trying to find the problem that talks about DNA or electrophoresis or something, you can search for that, and it'll show up which modules have that in it. And the other nice thing is that your links are shareable. So if you're working with a team, everybody's working on the same content library, and you need to point to a particular component or a particular unit or a particular view, even of what you're seeing, these URLs will reflect that. So you can send that link, share that link with anybody, and they will see what you see. Well, anybody, as long as they have access. So you can, just like with courses, you can create a library team and manage the level of access that each person has. So yeah, the different roles are readers, authors, and admin. Admin can add new users, authors can edit your content, and readers can just read. That's cool. When you're viewing your components, there's a nice, oh yeah, we got a question.
Related to the public read, is that public read more like a partner or an instance?
Ooh.
Or like, is it controllable, configurable?
It's not configurable. It is definitely one setting. I think it's not public. Like you do definitely need to have you need to be a logged in user. I don't think there's any other, I don't think you need to have like authoring permissions on the instance. But yeah, you definitely still need to be logged in. So it's not Google can index this content. But yeah. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And yeah, so part of the sidebar tab that we've developed for libraries, you've got a preview, and it shows a copy of what the learners will see. And you can edit. The text editor is a lovely WYSIWYG editor now. The problem editor's like really beautiful as well, and is like a nice step-based process for creating new problems. And you've got your publish button. So you can publish the whole library or you can publish individual components. There's also this discard all changes, which is, I think, a little bit dangerous. It will get rid of all of your unpublished changes. So anything that showed up as never published or unpublished changes, they go. And so I would, be a little careful with that one. But if, for instance, you copied some unit into your library that you really didn't want to, it's useful for that. You did a big paste that to undo it is going to involve a lot of manual work. Discard is a good choice. So, with the filtering and searching, one of the things that's very useful is to be able to tag particular pieces of content with tags from a predefined hierarchy, or we have collections if you want sort of like a free text tagging ability to group components. So you can create a new collection and name it, give it a description. Those descriptions are searchable as well. And add any existing library content or add new content to that collection. Select whichever bits you want, and you've got the nice search filtering feature to be able to find the components that you want to add into your collection, and then they appear in the collection. Collections are, they're just for libraries. They're not something that actually ends up in the course, and so it's literally just for you to be able to group your content. There's also tagging. So tagging is another feature that's been in the platform for, I think, a couple of releases. Tags and collections both sit outside the publish workflow, so it's a little confusing to know what gets published and what doesn't. But because tags are also not really visible to the learners, it's probably not too big of a deal. So tags. I know that everybody comes in with an idea of how tagging works because we've been using tags in social media and all sorts of things for a long time. We're used to be able to just type in and create tags like on the fly. With the taxonomies, the use case that we chose to meet the first time was dealing with predefined taxonomies. So people who, they've got like the Bloom's taxonomy or a government-defined set of skills, a really large set of hierarchical tags that they absolutely have to be able to apply to their content. We've decided that it's not the most user obvious case, but it is the most difficult and most hard to manage on your own. And so that's what we ended up implementing. And so the interface for dealing with tags is geared towards that kind of mindset. So you can use tags both in your courses and in your content libraries. So a unit can be tagged. There's a manage tag button there. And basically, so for all of the taxonomies that you have available in your instance, you'll be able to see those when you say manage tags. And the interface is, I guess I don't show you that, but basically, if you want to add a tag, you just type into there to find the tag that you're looking for, and it also gives you a hierarchy that you can navigate through to find which tags you want. Because they're nested, like you can choose to choose just the first level, or you can drill deeper into the hierarchy to pick the specific tag that you're looking for. Yes, please.
Are they completely predefined, or is there a way to build them?
There's both. So we don't ship a predefined set of tags. Some of these are proprietary, and so it was kind of difficult to decide like we're going to ship with these tags. But we do provide an interface for importing tags from a predefined taxonomy, and importing is actually how you maintain your taxonomies as well. So yeah, we do that. So from the new Studio Home, there's a taxonomies tab. And what you can use is there's a template for it because it's kind of a complex interface. So you can choose a CSV template or a JSON template, and then import those large taxonomies with that. And that, when you do an import, it completely replaces what's there. But it does any links, any tags that you've already tagged in your content will be maintained, so you don't have to worry about things like getting blatted, basically.
How large can a taxonomy be?
Large. Yeah, I don't know that we actually have a slide. I mean, because it's a file that's uploaded, like there's a certain number of megs that your server will allow you to upload, but it's big. Yeah, it can. I think it's a maximum of 3 levels deep, 4 levels deep, 5 levels deep. Excellent. I thought it was 4. Yeah. So like the depth of the hierarchy is restrained, but the number of tags that you can have and the number of levels is not limited. Yes.
Is there a template of JSON or CSV?
Yes, yes, there is. And so if you go to the taxonomies place, you can download one of those templates, and then you fill it in, or download your taxonomy format from your provider, and then you can upload those tags. Yes.
Is a taxonomy per instance?
Yes, a taxonomy is per instance. Yes. It's
In my case, edX.org has many partners that all have many courses, and a lot of things are limited per partner. And then we have one instance of Studio where all partners have levels of restriction. And so my question was, do you have a library per partner, or could you have you only have one taxonomy? I'm sorry, one taxonomy per partner, or only one taxonomy per instance of OpenEdX?
Okay, and so the answer is both. So when you import a taxonomy, it is available for all the users by default, but you can say only this organization has access to this taxonomy. And I think we did that for licensing reasons because of the whole it's proprietary, and so we need to be able to make sure that only the people who are allowed access to this taxonomy can use it. And so when you say partner, what I'm hearing is org. Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, good. Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that, so for instance, like a taxonomy such as ONET, which is the United States database of all jobs, that then is a whole taxonomy. Would that, if someone already updated that, started tagging to that, does that mean that everyone would have?
You as someone who's running your instance, when you import your taxonomy, you can decide which of the whether it's an instance-wide available thing or whether it's something that you're going to restrict to specific orgs. Larger sites like edX restrict it by their organizations, but if you've got your own site running, then you can just make them available for all of the users on your site. Cool. Yes.
Is this the same content library? So you can we deal with microsites, so words with that, so we can do that for content library as well.
Yeah, I don't think that tags care about microsites. So I believe that it's they only care about org level access, and then just that it exists on your OpenEdX instance. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm actually really pleased to hear that everybody's very interested in taxonomies. It was a feature that we built pretty early on, but we turned it off by default because we didn't want to confuse or something. And I think what we learned from that exercise was that we should be turning things on by default. And if you don't want them, then you turn them off because otherwise nobody knows about them. And so yeah, I'm really happy to see that. Yes. Oh, I got a thumbs up. Yay. And it's working. Hey, that was, yeah. I was gonna do a demo, live demo, and I'm like, I don't know about that. So screenshots is all you get, sorry. But, and yeah, so once you've, like I said, once you've downloaded your template, you can then upload. Oh, there we go, 100 megabytes. I think that might be our instance, but yeah. And then once you've imported it, you've got this view, which we didn't end up implementing the detailed being able to move things around and change things in line. I think partially also because we deployed the feature and then we were going to see what people used and what people needed. And so basically import-export is your way of editing these taxonomies. But if that's something that people need and want, then that's something that we can build. Yes.
So we are dealing with multiple, these microsites. So we have one instance, multiple orgs. Let's say someone in one of the organizations wants to upload their own. How does that conflict, or do they pair together well, or do they have to kind of rewrite what we've already done?
Well, each taxonomy has its own ID. And so you can upload different, even if everybody wants to use their own version of ESDC skills and competencies, that's fine. It's there won't be a problem with that. This manage organizations button, which I don't think I actually walked through in these slides, that's how, as an administrator, you decide who has access to this particular taxonomy. So if you needed to set access for your different partners, you can use that to do that.
they get to add their own, or do they have to add to the ones we've already given them? Like, is it an export and they add to whatever's already on the document? Is that how they do it?
Okay, so yeah, the question was if they've got particular needs, can you delegate editing access to the partners? And the answer is yes. As the site administrator, you would need to do the import and then select their organization as one that's allowed to edit the taxonomy, and then they'll be able to download and re-upload and use it in their courses and libraries. Cool. Yay. And so once you've got your content imported from your course into a library, then you can reuse it. And so what we encourage you to do is to treat the library as your source of truth. It is your best copy of your content, your most recently updated copies, so that you know that when you want to create a new course from that content, you can use that and that it is what you want. So if you want to then reuse this content, there are a few ways to get content from your libraries into your course. You can use the copy paste feature and copy that component from the library, copy to the clipboard, and then go into your course and paste it into a course unit. Boom, done. That pasted piece of content is now linked to your library. And so if you want to make changes to it in the library, you can then sync those changes back into the course. Another way is to use this library content block. So if you're in your course, you select the library content block to add a new library content block. It'll give you an interface to select which library you want, and then the familiar search interface to find the component that you want to add. But the caveat with that is, in the warning, only published content is visible in this interface. So what I said about the draft library content, you need to publish for it to be used in your course. This is where this starts being important. Yes.
You said you could from the library, so you could just click and sync the others.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, you can, and I'll walk through the syncing as well. Yeah. Another way to get your content in is this problem bank. It's a little misleading in that it can actually be more than just problem components, but we chose problem bank as a name because that's the common use case. If you have 4 or 5 different problems and you want to show a random selection of 2 or 3 to your learners. And so it's a very similar interface, except that it allows you to add multiple components to that bank, and then you can configure it to decide how many of those you want to show to each learner. And that replaces the legacy Libraries v1 randomize content, which kind of was the only thing Libraries v1 was good for.
Is randomization always going to happen there?
It is. If you always want to show particular components, you just put them directly into the course. The bank is really only needed if you want to randomize.
And when you say put them directly in the course, you could put them in a library, not a problem bank, and then reference them directly.
That's correct. So yeah, if you wanted to use your content directly from your library, you can put it in the library, store the primary copy there, and then use those blocks in your course. And so most recently in TEAC, we have the ability to use units from your library. This isn't completely fully developed. Like there isn't a way yet to sync changes from your library unit into your course unit. And so I would wait probably until the next iteration to really use this in anger, but it's there, it's working, and when the upgrades happen, then the features will be added in and things will work seamlessly from there. But yeah, you can use units, and it'll show the available units you can select. And so yeah, the content syncing. So once you have the library content in your courses, and the master copy is in your library. When you make a change in the master copy and then publish that change, then that change becomes available for syncing into your course. And so demonstrate here, we've got the familiar from the Demo X course question. I added giant squid as a potential animal for use in ancient Greek, because I love the giant squid. And I've published that. But so now when I look at the course block that uses that library, I've got a little update icon, and it says update available. And so if you click that, you get this lovely little preview dialog, which shows you the old version of the content and the new version of the content, and lets you decide whether you want to accept those changes in your course or ignore this particular version. So ignoring is definitely an option. If you've made a change that is like a qualitative difference or a big change for the learners in that course, you may decide that you don't want to keep that change in the course. But if you're using it in a new course, then maybe you do want to use that. So that is completely up to you. And you should be able to see enough about what the change was. If it's a subtle change like the scoring, things like that, that should be visible, or which answer was correct. Like if there was a mistake made in the course and you want to sync that mistake in, the fix for that mistake in, you should be able to then see those two versions and try it out just like you normally can preview. There's another place where if you want to see all of the changes that you've made in your library that affect the course content that you're looking at, there's a new tab under the content area called Library Updates. And it gives you a nice big summary. These are all the components that have changed. Okay. And you can review them in the same kind of way. So, I would really like to hear, and I know that Jenna and Sam also would like to hear what sort of features you want. I mean, yeah, cool.
Actually, I have a question just before.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask, so if I understood well, you create some content and you put it in your library.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you need it into a course, you just call it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you have to do a correction, you go into the library, do the correction, and then you sync it into your course and you get the changes.
Yes, correct.
Can you also take some content from the library and do some changes in the course without affecting?
That is a good question, actually. I think that was on one of my slides. So the question was, if you have content from your library that you're using in your course, are there changes that you can make in the course that you can then sync back to the library, I think was the question. And the sync back or not, yeah. So because what we've regarded as the library is your source of truth, the content syncing changes really only flow one way. They'll flow from the library through to the course. But if you're using a bit of content in your course, there are a couple of things that you can customize in the course that won't get overwritten. So you could change the display name, like you could change the title of the unit. If you're using it in a context where you need a different title, that title you can change and keep that change different in your course. But the actual block itself, the content in the block, the text, the problems, those things, that content does get synced through. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Okay.
Sorry, Joe, just one quick check. Are we going to full Q&A at the moment?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
I think we can
great.
probably like...
So please wait for... Sorry.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I misunderstood, but when you update something in the library that is being used in a course, you still have to actively go into that course and accept the change?
That's correct.
There's no like force update?
Not yet.
But there will be.
Well, I mean, this is why we're talking about what's the features that people might need, because it's sort of a dangerous question. If you're using a piece of content in 10 different courses and you've suddenly added a new question answer, what does that do to all the existing students who've already answered their things? Deciding it's a little bit of a tricky question, and that we'd like your input on how to best manage that. Like when you're pushing out your changes Do you want them all to get blatted over, or do you need to be able to granularly select which places those changes get out to? Because we do have this link now, so we know every block that's used in your library, we know where it's used in all your courses. And in your courses, we know all the everywhere that the library block is used. So we can do it in both directions. It's just how complex does that interface need to be? Yeah, I would be very interested to hear what you would need.
My question would be what you just said, what exactly is happening when you already have published the question in the course and already users have already submitted the answers, and then suddenly something changed. What is happening to their points, to their grades, and so on and so on?
Yeah, that's a good question about grades. So if for instance you had removed you changed which answer was correct or not, you would need to regrade all of your students, but their answers are preserved, their submissions are preserved. It's the same block. It is the same item. It is the same thing. I think the subtleties of that might be a little different, like when you're dealing with aura. Like if you delete the problem or delete the question and then re-add a new question, it is now a new question, even if it's the same text of what the question was. So there is a little bit of care that needs to be taken, just like if you were editing your course while it was live. Just for any sort of editing like that. But it's the same type of considerations that you would need to make.
Hi, do you have version control?
Yes, but it's not visible yet. Is version control something that you would like to see? Would you like to be able to roll back and see between all of the different changes that you've made to your library?
Being an industry representative, for me, this is a default.
Yeah, with me too, with code, being able to see the diffs between the changes is a pretty powerful thing. What the libraries at the back. So Dave was instrumental, obviously, in architecting and designing how the content library data is stored, and any change that you make in your content library stores a new version, and so all of those changes are available. The problem is all of those changes are available, and so how to represent that and make that a usable UI is still a challenge. But I think it's definitely something that we have in mind that we want to expose.
When you deploy something in production on the code base, you tag it. Just create tags.
Yeah, sure. And we have the tagging capabilities. So yeah. Well, and even, we could hash it like they do in Git. We could let you tag it. Say, this is my V1 version. This is my V2. Things like that. And yeah, and then being able to roll back in between.
Then you can collapse with the
And even do like a time machine thing of being able to move back through the versions and see, well, this is the one that I want to preserve or revert back to or make a copy of, and then work from there. Yeah, something like that. That would be very useful. Yeah, there's good possibilities there. But the data structures are in place. Like the ability to do that is in there now.
So what's the criteria for determining whether the content library is completed or not? Because with the legacy libraries, there were two approaches. The first one was that all the child components had to be marked as completed. But then around Redwood or Palm, it was changed to mark the library completed on view. What is it like for the content
Interesting.
libraries?
So content libraries right now, like the V2 version as a concept, it literally only exists in Studio. So when you take content from a library into your course, now you're in course land, you're in course completion, you're in that mode. So there is no concept of completing a library right now. So I've dodged your question, basically.
Yeah, so basically if you sync your changes, you don't change your XBlock IDs, so they remain the same, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so it's retained.
Yeah.
Right, so I have one more question actually. So what's the top level of an X block we can go? Because there is currently some work for the units that can be reusable. What about subsections or sections?
So sections and subsections is in progress right now. So the next version of edX should have sections and subsections in it as well. It's a sort of a generic concept like a container now. So developers, so sections, subsections, units, they're not X blocks anymore. The only thing that's an X block is a component because we didn't need everything to be turtles all the way down for this. And so this design is a little different. Mm-hmm.
Next. All right, Jeremy.
My question is about migrating from legacy to V2 libraries. What is the path for that?
Is there a management command for that? Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, I think there's a management command for that. There's definitely a import from your course into a library, but I don't know about libraries. You do.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think the current state is that there's a Django admin interface and there's a management command. I don't think it's in Teak though. Okay. I think that it's on the current development branch, but there will be a nicer UX to actually take people through to it. One of the things about it is that it's not a one-to-one conversion. We definitely don't want it to be a one-to-one conversion. We want people to consolidate a V1 library into a collection, and within a library, and have dozens of V1 libraries mapped to the same V2 library. So in that sense, like there's going to be some UX around that.
Cool.
And do you know if it will require course level resyncing or touching the courses that reference those?
So the courses should not need to be edited. The time at which you need to actually to do the synchronization is when you want to try to get the latest updates from the library. So just a course at rest, even if you do the migration of V1 to V2 library, the course still behaves the same way. It doesn't need to be changed. It's just if you want to get the latest version of that library, it is going to now pull from a different place.
But that brings up a good point. One of the things that when I was working on this demo, I was thinking, oh, people want to take their course content and shove it into a library now. I think it would be really nice to be able to basically say, this course, I want all of its content to now be synced to the library. And then, without changing my course, then be able to make changes to the main library and sync it back to the course. It's the subtle details. I don't know if I can actually communicate this. So when you copy content from your course into a library, nothing happens to your course. Your course stays, it's fine, it's exactly static, but it's not linked to that library until you then take the library content and put it back into either another course or into the existing course. But I think and it's definitely possible in the back end to say, I want everything that's in this course to be linked to items that are in the library, and then you've got your master copy, and you can make your changes and use it how you would. I don't know if that's actually what people want to do. I don't know if that's part of the plan, but I thought that would be a nice feature, if that makes sense.
All right, any more questions?
Cool.
All right.
I've got some references, mostly to the release notes, the product release notes that have been done for all the versions that are really spectacular, and individual user documentation if there's anything about this that you have more questions about. And so, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your questions. Very good.